Fuck you, audience! I'm gonna set you on fire! Rah! Oh shit, it went out. Oh well. So recently I did an episode of the Bible Reloaded with Hugo and Jake where we read through and reviewed some Christian propaganda in the form of a chick tract. Here's a clip from that.
Duke, what makes you think that Jesus was a sissy?
In my book, which frankly is no books, any man that turns the other cheek is a chump.
So he's an Old Testament kind of guy, but
Yeah.
this is a weird argument that Jack Chick, I think, couldn't think of any legitimate reasons that people actually aren't Christian, so he just tried to make shit up and threw it against a wall.
Like, I bet they think he's a pussy.
Right? Like, that's
That must
why.
be it.
Yeah, that's gotta be it.
Yeah, Jesus.
I don't like his haircut.
And if you want to check out that whole episode, the link is in the description. But doing that show kind of got me wondering about a fundamental question that's popped up throughout my career here on YouTube. And it's, most of the atheists here on YouTube are former believers. They were once pious, devout, faithful people, and I've never been that. Maybe I was a believer when I was a wee lad, no bigger than this, and I was naive, and I believed in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and God. But, once I stopped believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy around the age of, 6, I also stopped believing in God, because just like those other things, I saw no evidence for him. I knew that other people believed in it, but how was that supposed to affect what I thought? I don't know what it's like to be a person of faith, so I might be speaking from a position of ignorance when I ask this question, and the question might sound insulting, and I can see how it would be, but it's not really intended that way. My question, and it applies to all religions, not just Christianity, but we're going to focus on Christianity because that's what I grew up with. Does anyone really believe this shit? Seriously, does anyone really believe this shit? I just don't see how anyone could. It's too ridiculous. If you just listen to the story involved, once upon a time there was nothing, but there was God somehow. This being with all this power and all this, just like he can make things happen by his will. And he was bored with nothingness, so he said, let there be light, let there be land and water and trees and birds and shit. And magically it all just happened. And then he created man, and man was lonely, so he created woman from man's rib, and then they ate a evil fruit of knowledge from a bad tree in the magic garden because a talking snake seduced them, and it just goes on like that. All throughout the Bible it's like, and he walked on water, and he had a talking donkey, and God sent a plague of locusts, and if I just peppered casual conversations with people yeah, by the way, I've seen dragons. Yeah, I've actually ridden a dragon before. I jumped on his back and I rode him to the moon. And on the moon, I met all these moon women and I fucked them and had little moon babies. And I actually lived on the moon for 20 years, but I got bored, so I came back to Earth. People would be like, this guy is a fucking lunatic. But no, if some ancient book says, oh, by the way, there was once a flood and all the animals in the world were all in one little tiny rickety boat built by a drunk and his family. People are like, oh, that makes sense. Wow, yeah, this book contains the answers. So I don't get how someone could believe in something with such a ridiculous premise that so clearly contradicts what we understand about reality through scientific inquiry. This is the 21st century. We're not a bunch of primitive fucks huddled around a fucking fire trying to warm our arms and wondering what that big fucking glowing thing in the sky is. We've actually figured out a lot of what's going on in the cosmos. We understand the principles of science now. As a species, we do. And yet, we still believe in these nonsense fairy tales. And that just strikes me as absurd. The other reason that I have to ask if anyone really believes this shit is because so few people actually live like they believe it. Like the Bible says, we gotta stone homosexuals to death. We gotta stone witches to death. We gotta stone Sabbath breakers to death. That's all in there. Most Christians don't follow that shit. Almost no Christians follow that shit. Hell, Jesus Christ himself said that you should give up all your earthly possessions to the poor and just wander the land, spreading his word. But modern Christians don't do that. This America, which so many Christians consider a Christian nation, this is one of the most greedy capitalistic countries on the face of the fucking earth. It's completely contrary to the message of Jesus Christ. I mean, if they really believed that this holy book was sent by God, wouldn't they take the stuff it says a little more seriously? Don't you think they would actually follow every obscure little rule in that book just to be on the safe side? But no, most Christians just do whatever the hell they want and just figure, well, Jesus will forgive me. I can be a piece of shit. Jesus will forgive me. Jesus, I violated all of your teachings and I broke all the rules in the Bible, but I love you, so forgive me. And that's how it's supposed to work. I've heard a lot of Christians come at this with the reverse angle, like, you atheists, you really do believe in God deep down inside. And I always found that funny, like, why would I believe in God deep down inside? There's no fucking evidence for God. I think the only reason that people want to believe in God, and that's all they really do in my opinion, is they want to believe it. The reason they want to believe it is because they don't want to believe that when they die, they're just gone. They want to believe that, oh, Cousin Vicky's dead. Oh, now she's in the ground and she's fucking gone forever. No! Actually, she's in a magical palace in the sky with God and Jesus, and she's riding a pink pony through fucking fields of rainbows. I mean, I understand the appeal of that. I understand why you'd want it to be true, but it's not true. And the funny thing is that there are so many hucksters out there that use the desire of people to believe that this shit is true to control those people. To basically say, oh, well, if you want to be saved, not only you don't have to do what the Bible says, fuck that, you gotta do what I say. You gotta do what my interpretation of the Bible says. And that always includes coughing up a hefty sum of money at my fucking feet. So religious people, they basically make one of the worst exchanges in the world. They exchange real control for false comfort. Here, take the control over my life, and in return, tell me a bunch of fanciful bullshit that's not really true, but will make me feel mildly better the next time someone I love dies. It'll make me slightly less scared of my own mortality. So I'd like to ask my question to both the formerly religious and the currently religious. Do you actually believe the shit you say when it comes to religion? And how do you maintain that belief in the total absence of any evidence, and despite the fact that the stuff you believe is clearly fucking ridiculous? I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out! Ha ha ha!